Remember for the Presents. With this project, the 7th grade of the German International School, New York, aims to reflect on both Germany's and our host country's history. We are fortunate that a number of Holocaust survivors live in the area of GISNY, and we had the opportunity to interview some of them. To preserve their stories for future generations, we wrote them down and will present them to other schools, so that the present generation learns from the past.
Ich erinnere mich für die Gegenwart.
I remember for the present.
Now, take a good look at that picture. There are a lot of people on it. I don't know how many, I never counted it. And those people were at the wedding, and this is 1932. By 1944, everybody on this picture except my little uncle here, my mother, and my mother's older uncle were dead.
Can you put yourself into the shoes of children or into the shoes of parents who had to send their children away to another country, which language they didn't speak, to save their lives? I know from this Kindertransport, and I'm a member of the Kindertransport Association here, there were 40% of the children that came out that never saw their parents again.
When the war broke out in 1939, the Nazis invaded Poland September 1st, 1939. And right away we felt it, you know. There were lines for bread, and we lacked food. Within 6 months, they created a ghetto for us. There was no water. We had to go out for the water. The bathrooms were outside, and very poor situation. They used to have 4 or 5 people in one room, because the ghetto was small and the people in it, well, we had, I think, over 100,000 people came to the ghetto. And the ghetto became a horror. It was so difficult, children, you cannot imagine. When I was in my 5th grade, I was only a few months in school. I loved school. And they closed the schools for us in the ghetto. We had no schooling.
Out comes as a very tall man in a very nice uniform with the shiny boots. This was Dr. Joseph Mengele. He was doing the selection. Line up in row of 5, women separate and men separate. He stands there in front of our row, and he looks at my niece, who was at that time 17, and so was I, the same age. And he said, go to the left. Then he points at me to go to the left. And the rest of them are marching on. When I passed my father's row, he was standing further. Every Friday night he blessed us. He said to me, Judy, you will live. This was the last thing that I heard from my father. This was the last thing that I saw any of my family, 24 members of my family. We went to the left, and they went to their death.
And I remember walking in the forest, May 4th, 1945, a day I can never forget. All of a sudden, the most powerful, obnoxious stench, a smell. Any liberator will tell you that first thing hits you is the stench, the smell. My God, what is that freaking smell? You almost felt like you were going to choke. You couldn't breathe. I remember seeing a compound with a barbed wire fence as far as you could see. Up on top it said, Arbeit macht frei. Cut through the barbed wire, entered that camp, the Gunskirchenlager, and I'm going to tell you, young people, What I saw there was the most horrific sight I've ever seen or ever hoped to see the rest of my life. Tell all the young people that I speak to, listen to me, that you're the last generation. You hear me? You're the last generation that's going to hear people like me and the survivors and the hidden children and the kinder transport and the righteous Gentiles. Because by the time you have children, we're going to be gone. You guys got to make sure that something like that never happens again, okay?
We have to remember the 6 million Jews, including 1.5 million children, that were murdered during World War II. Our and future generations will have to make sure that they will never be forgotten.
אני זוכר להווה.